Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by T.A. Forsberg and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So climbing the ladder of success is a challenge for most, and becoming a CEO and being inducted into a museum for the industry that you operate within is a feat that's almost unimaginable. Here to discuss her path to success is the president and CEO of the Community Financial Credit Union, Ms. Tansley Sterns. Welcome to the show, Tansley.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So let's discuss your brand within the credit union ecosystem. Where is Community Financial Credit Union headquarters? What geography do you serve? Talk about the institution.
Absolutely. So honored to be here, and thank you so much for the question. We love talking about Community Financial. We're headquartered in Plymouth, Michigan.
Okay.
And our history is that we originally served Daisy Air Rifle employees. Most credit unions started serving a very specific employment group or community, but we've been community charter for years. So if you breathe in the state of Michigan, you can join the credit union.
Okay.
And we have 14 locations across the state, and we'll be opening 2 new locations in 2025. Most of those are in southeastern Michigan, and then we have several in the Gaylord area.
Got it. Why Gaylord? Is that where Daisy used to be?
No, actually, Daisy started in Plymouth.
Okay.
And we had a merger that happened years, way before my time,
okay,
that brought us to Gaylord. And we love that area. It's such a special part of who we are as Michiganders, as you know.
Right. So remind the audience and me, honestly, what is the difference between a credit union and a bank?
Sure. Credit unions started during the Great Depression. And you mentioned the museum. I love going to the museum because it really shares the story of our history. That museum is actually the place where the very first credit union was started, and it was an attorney. And by day, the story goes that he would go across the river and serve in his law practice and then come home at night, and he opened his doors to those that didn't have a safe place to get a loan. There were a lot of really bad things happening at that time when folks needed a loan. And communities came together and said, okay, well, I have some money that I want to save, and then we can use that for those that need loans. And it really is a financial cooperative, and that's what makes us unique and different. And we're not-for-profit financial cooperative. So again, for us, our board of directors are volunteers, so they don't get paid anything. And I think what's really special about credit unions is that we are not chasing quarter-to-quarter profits. We really are owned by our members, and that means that we can do things that are in our members' best interest. And this story is important, I think, today, because no matter your political beliefs, all of us have been listening very acutely, I hope, to Americans and Michiganders, and people are feeling economic pain. Credit unions were founded to solve those economic challenges, and we are squarely positioned to do so.
Got it. Okay. So how did you end up in this industry?
As many do. I stumbled into it. Although I'll tell you, one of my big audacious goals is to make sure that we change that and people are dreaming of working in credit unions because it's a wonderful space. But I graduated from the University of Michigan. Go Blue.
Right. Nice big win on Saturday.
Oh, yes. And then I didn't know what I wanted to be when I was 21. And so I was applying for both marketing and social work jobs and found a marketing specialist position. It was a credit union that served Macy's employees. So that credit union was headquartered in the basement of a Macy's store in Waterford, Michigan. And my mom did the drive with me. It was about 2.5 hours to go to the interview. And when we pulled into this mall, it was a dying mall. She was very concerned that I was making very bad decisions. And the rest is history. I really fell in love with this movement, the opportunity to really walk with people toward their financial future. People often ask me, why credit unions? That sounds very boring. Quite frankly, the work that we do, the financial vehicles, may be boring. The basis for those is bringing people's impossible dreams to life. And when we can walk with people toward those dreams and help shape those, especially in a time like this where people aren't quite sure where to turn, that's precisely why I love what we do.
So I can feel the pride, and that's great. And I think any leader, certainly the leaders, and hopefully, the variety of strata in your org chart has that same kind of passion. But what makes Community Financial different in your mind than maybe other places?
One of the things that I think makes us very different is that our board is dreaming really boldly about our future. And I know how much you care about the great state of Michigan.
Sure.
Our board believes that if a credit union, ours in particular, does our work well, it can be a differentiator not only for the financial needs of an individual, but imagine if the work that we're doing meant that people didn't want to leave Michigan when they graduate from university and they wanted to stay there. Imagine that we can solve some of the bigger problems like affordable housing. We think that the impact of our organization can be audacious and bold, and that makes us different. It also is about the approach that we take. Many financial institutions, you see their commercial and it's a couple running down the beach into their retirement, and we want to be there for those joyful moments.
Right.
We also know that there are darker times in all of our lives, and most of them have financial underpinnings. And unfortunately, there are moments when often the people that love you most walk away. And if we can be the financial institution that stays with people and is that best friend that was there in the darker times, we can help get to the lighter ones.
Right on. Makes a lot of sense. I want to thank our friends at Forsberg Real Estate Company. When it comes to creating the best living and working environments for the community, no one does it better than my friends at the Forsberg Real Estate Company. Brent Forsberg and his team create vibrant, holistic communities that inspire growth and encourage belonging. Focused on building stronger connections for people, the Forsberg Project is always in tune with balancing relationships to create the optimum human experience. Since the 1950s, Forsberg has been enhancing the quality of life in the communities they serve by following the principles of regenerative growth and aligning the resources and tools available. Reach out to my friends at the Forsberg Real Estate Company by calling 517-349-9330 or check out their website at lansingrealestate.com. So we talked in the intro about this museum. Where is this museum and what is the museum set up to express?
It's headquartered in Manchester, New Hampshire, which is a wonderful place to be, a lot like Michigan in the fall, spectacular. And as I mentioned, it's a home. And so as you drive past, you wouldn't think, oh, there's a grand museum. It looks like someone's home. And America's Credit Unions, which is the trade association nationally for our movement, put together the museum to ensure that we do remember our roots. We believe we have a vibrant future. And I think all of us know that understanding our rich history helps us to make even better decisions to shape that future. And so they've done a wonderful job of sharing that story. They have life-size cutouts of some of the people that helped to dream about what credit unions would be. And they've also done a really nice job of honoring folks that have marked our movement. And it's a really, really special place.
And you've been honored there. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's the Herstory Museum, section of the museum, a Hall of Fame of sorts. It sounds like, right?
Yes.
And that was bestowed upon you as an individual, as a CEO. That's awesome. So when did this happen, and what was the process to get you this accolade? It
just happened this fall. I was nominated, and there's a selection committee. I don't know what that process looks like behind the scenes. And a few of us were selected, and then had a very special bit of time to honor one another. I think one of the things I'm most proud of is not my honor, but being able to be there with other human beings who are truly making a difference for credit unions. And one of the things I would share with you that is unique is that credit unions have typically done a better job of helping to advance women in the workforce. And if you look at the data about women in the workforce in credit unions, it tends to be better. Now, I'll also say that when you look deeply into the data, as organizations get larger and as the seat to the CEO is the one you're looking at, you see fewer and fewer women. And one of the things that I said on the day that I was honored is that we have a lot to celebrate. And my challenge for us as a movement is that we still have a lot of work to do. And my hope from this honor is that people like my daughter, Mackenzie, who's 14, can not only see themselves in a credit union, that they see the possibility for women, and that we use these kinds of accolades to help to advance a space for women where we can create positive change.
Got it. Well, I mean, it's very impressive. As I was preparing for this interview, I scrolled through the website and looked at the philanthropic arm and the things that you embark on. And I'd like to highlight a couple of these so you can share what this all means to you, because I would imagine that your efforts in these areas help propel your brand and you as an individual leading this cause to that notoriety at the museum. So talk about the Roof the Block initiative in Detroit, and talk about the neighborhood and what that's all about.
Absolutely. When I came to Community Financial, I earned this opportunity in June of 2022, and I met with all of our 360 employees. And one of the questions I was asking our team members was, if you could partner with anyone in the state of Michigan, who would it be? And one of our team members said to me, Keith and Evan. And I said, well, who are Keith and Evan? And they said, well, Tansley, you haven't seen Bargain Block on HGTV? And I said, I haven't, but thank you. I will check it out. And they said, well, they're doing really interesting work in Detroit, and they are making a real difference in housing affordability. And so I said, okay, well, I'll reach out. And this team member looked at me and said, what do you mean you'll reach out? And I said, well, I'm going to reach out and ask them if they'll partner with us. And so I did. And, you know, as you might imagine, as you're onboarding as a CEO, my head was a little full. About 60 days later, I got a phone call. And I answered the phone, and it was not somebody that I knew. And the person said, you know, Tansley, this is Keith. You left me a message, and I was hoping we could talk. And I thought it was a sales call. And so I said, you know, thank you, Keith, but I didn't call you. And I hung up.
Oh, no.
Luckily, he called right back.
I have enough copiers.
Yeah, exactly. And he left a message because I didn't answer because I didn't know who it was. And luckily, he left a voicemail and said, Tansley, this is Keith. I should have given you some context. This is from Bargain Block, and I know you called. And so I called right back, and I apologized profusely. And luckily, he was so gracious. He said, Tansley, now we have a great story about how we met.
Good for you. Nice recovery.
Yes. And the great thing is that they've really been able to help us to design our HOPE program, which is really intended to help those that are looking to be first-time home buyers. We know that the affordable housing crisis is a huge one for our state and for the country. We think credit unions have a role to play. And Keith and Evan have really helped us to understand some of the hurdles that exist and remove those from our program. And in addition, we just spend time dreaming. When we have partners, what matters to us is we find human beings that share our values, and we want to be able to build creative solutions. And one of the things that they shared is that roofs are a real problem in neighborhoods. And if you can help homeowners to repair those roofs, it can ensure that a neighborhood thrives. And so we were able to bring 14 roofs to life in the Fitzgerald neighborhood. And our original plan was to do 10, and we were able to get to 14, which is just spectacular. And so I think it's a great story of collaboration, which is another real passion of mine, and it's something that credit unions value.
For those not familiar, where is the Fitzgerald neighborhood?
It's in Detroit. Yeah. I don't know the crossroads there, but yes, Google would get you there.
and Keith and Evan, that's just an area that they've been focusing on?
Yeah, they pay a lot of attention to the places in Detroit where they can make a big difference. And we also partnered with Brilliant Detroit, who helped us to identify that Fitzgerald neighborhood as one where we felt like we could make impact.
Got it. Okay. And where is that in the stage? Are the 14 roofs done, or is that in process now?
Some of them are in process still, but I will tell you, when we did the reveal, we had all of the families there, and I will say it was one of the favorite moments in my life to see 14 families realizing that they were going to have the opportunity to have new roofs and have those homes continue to thrive.
Now, Keith and Evan are not Detroiters?
They are Detroiters now, yes.
Got
they originally, one of them grew up in Texas. Keith grew up in Texas. They were in Colorado right before they came to Detroit.
Got it. Okay. Fantastic. Well, thanks for your support on behalf of all those people. That's great. The Domestic Violence Financial Support Program was another one that resonated with me. Why don't you tell us in your words what that is and why it's important?
Absolutely. We've been partnering with an organization called First Step, and they are also headquartered in Plymouth, Michigan. And they, for years, have been doing work to support those that are impacted by domestic and sexual violence. And again, when I came back to Michigan in 2022, wanted to meet with our philanthropic partners and met with First Step and their executive director. Her name is Lori Kitchen-Bushell. And I was just so impressed with the unique approach that First Step takes. One of the stories I love to tell is that one of the hurdles for those that may wish to leave a domestic violence situation is their pets. And if you can't take a pet with you, you may not leave. And so one of the things that First Step has in one of their shelters is an area for pets. And so you'll go there and you'll see parrots and dogs and cats. And what they do is so human first and understanding what those needs are. And so this historical relationship really started to flourish even more because we partnered our innovation lab with survivors from First Step. And we asked those survivors, what are the financial underpinnings that, again, might prevent someone from leaving a really difficult situation? And so we've developed a loan program that we've been piloting. Over 30 individuals have participated so far. And it's for any need that someone might have. It might be that you've moved to the great state of Michigan and you've had a relationship that ended very badly, and getting home was an expense that you didn't prepare for. It might be that you need to find an apartment, and putting that down payment down is something that you need to have. Whatever those financial needs are, walking with individuals in those moments really matters. And what I love about this is that historical partnership, this loan program we were doing, was observed by one of our team members, and they had seen a social movement that you've likely seen. There was a question that was going viral for some time, asking women, if you met a strange man or bear in the woods, who would you choose? And women overwhelmingly, unfortunately, said they would choose the bear. And this individual on our team said, I think that there's more Community Financial can do to create a movement around this. And it launched our Choose the Bear movement, which is really a grassroots effort across our organization to continue to grow our support of those impacted by domestic and sexual violence, because the economic underpinnings of that are things that we can help support.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic work, and I appreciate you doing that. I was reading also about the In the Cellar initiative, if I could, just the Children's Miracle Network and the hospitals. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that initiative.
Absolutely. Our industry is full of heart. One of the things that we love about credit unions is that they give tremendously and deeply. And there have been several organizations across our country that have put together really great programs that support Children's Miracle Network hospitals. A couple of those are wine auctions, one in California, one in Oregon. And I've attended both of those. There's an awesome race in Washington, D.C. in the spring called the Cherry Blossom Race. And when I got back to Michigan, I said, there's not a Great Lakes event. We need something here. And of course, I got a lot of pushback from people saying, well, Tansley, you're not going to do wine in Michigan. And
that's not true.
Exactly. And, I'm not sure people are going to want to give as much as what you're thinking about. That sounds pretty big. And in our first year, we raised almost $1 million. In 2 years, we've raised almost $2 million on behalf of Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And what we're really enthusiastic about is that this event is also focused on mental well-being. I think all of us observed during COVID that we need to destigmatize mental health, and that young people need that support. And so being able to have this focused effort and really raise awareness both for credit unions and for kiddos that need that mental well-being support is just critical.
Well, thank you for all of that. And I do want to shout out to my friends at Triterra. Triterra is a leading environmental consulting firm headquartered in Lansing, Michigan, with staff around the state to serve your brownfield redevelopment, environmental consulting, and natural resource management needs. Since 2008, Triterra has been successful advising a wide range of organizations to implement solutions to complex environmental challenges. If you're a business, a developer, a property owner, a lending institution, attorney, or governmental entity looking for a solution that you want, and you want prompt and timely service, do not hesitate to call my friends at Triterra. Led by CEO and visionary Don McNabb, leaders JP Buckingham and Dave Van Haren, and their dozens of technical experts you can't miss by calling Triterra at 517-702-0470 or check them out at triterra.us. They mean it when they say it's not just what we do, it's who we are and how we do it. So I appreciate you sharing all of these stories, because not only, obviously we need people to conduct the fiduciary and transactional, moving money around and helping people do these types of things. We also need great, stable employers in this state. And we also need those great employers to have philanthropic endeavors. And I think it's all hand in glove. Obviously, you're helping people in the communities. I would imagine that your employees value the heck out of the fact that you as their leader and that the organization has that type of heart, I think, and when in the day when retention is king and talent, acquisition and all of that stuff is so important. Hopefully that's all working out for you. You speak very fondly of your teammates, and hopefully that's all working out for you. You said you had 350 or 360 people under.
We do.
That's
and
great.
We've earned Great Place to Work 2 years in a row, best and brightest. And so, yes, I think that our team members care deeply about the work that we do. And I think if you had the opportunity to speak with them, it is a really important part of why they commit to Community Financial, that we're doing this work on behalf of human beings.
Wonderful. Anything else coming up that you want to tease us about or share with us?
Oh, gosh.
Or anything else you want our listeners to know about your organization?
Lots of exciting things. And, I think my most important message is choose a credit union, whether it's Community Financial or another. I, again, would come back to the fact that I am hearing loud and clear the pain that people are feeling from inflation and the economic pressures. And credit unions are an awesome solution to that. We hope it's us. And we're thrilled if it's any credit union, because credit unions are doing right by people.
How can people get in touch with your organization?
Absolutely. Our website is cfcu.org.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for joining me here today. We've been speaking with the president and CEO of Community Financial Credit Union, Tansley Sterns, newly nominated into the Herstory Museum for Credit Unions in New Hampshire. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
And to give a final shout out to all of our loyal sponsors, the Forsberg Real Estate Company, Wagner Financial, Triterra Environmental, Good Marketing, Keller Williams Advantage and Team, the Michigan Rise, and the attorneys at Foster Swift. All are wonderful organizations worth the call. And if you found the show as a one-off, I want to remind you to follow and subscribe Michigan Reimagined on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere you find your podcasts. This is Chris Buck signing off for Michigan Reimagined.